It's super quiet. You might hear a few frogs in the background chirping, and you draw back that bow and you just hear that distinct whistle of the arrow flying through the air, and then that thud, boom. And you just fling a few of those and you sit back on the Muskoka chair and you just soak it all in. And that's, to me, is the most peaceful, calming experience. And that's one of the things that draws me to archery as well, is it really for the soul.
You're listening to the Letdown podcast.
It's like buck fever.
One shot at a time.
That's a big buck.
Yeah, Tony, thanks for coming on. We've kind of met it. We've kind of seen each other at different tournaments and stuff. I've never really gotten a chance to actually talk to you or whatever and actually sit down. So this is a good opportunity to do that. But anyways, for those who don't know, we have Tony Markic on the show. And so just tell us a little bit about who Tony Markic is.
Ooh, where to start? First of all, thanks guys for having me. When you first introduced me or invited me onto the show, I'm like, I get to talk for an hour or so about archery, and I won't have my wife rolling her eyes at me or telling me to stop, because this is a good day, and I get to enjoy my Guinness here with you guys, so it's all good. But who's Tony Markic? Well, when it comes from an archery perspective, I guess I started the game about 37 years ago. So Misha, Justin, you guys, I don't think we were born then, but
I was
pretty
two.
close. Pretty close.
I was two.
Yeah. I was 16 years old when I got into the game. Born and raised up in Sudbury. That's Chris. I think you're in neck of the woods at one time, right?
Yeah, I lived in Sudbury till I was 25.
That's
Nickel Center, Garson.
So you must have shot or familiar with Nickel Bowman at all, or lifetime sports?
I honestly, I bought a bow when I was 16, but I never really got into competition. I used it mostly for hunting. So I hunted a lot of small game with it. It's not like today where you can just go on YouTube and figure out how to shoot an animal. And I had all these questions, and I don't know where you bought your bow, but it was I think it was only one place you could. It was like Sudbury Archery or something like that. It was on
Berrydown.
Yeah, Berrydown, yeah. And then it was in a basement, and it was owned by an older couple. And I remember asking the guy once, I'm like, how many grains do I need if I want to go deer hunting? And he didn't answer me. So I was like, okay. So I got a long way to go before I go deer hunting. So I was like, okay, fine. And then I kind of just figured it out myself, read books and what have you. But so I never really got into it. And most of the shooting my brothers and my dad would do was mostly rifle and shotgun, and I would bring my bow along, and we'd do that in the up there you can just go anywhere and just shoot right in Crown Land and what have you.
It is. I didn't have a family upbringing in hunting or archery for that matter. I was self-introduced. I was one of those kids growing up where I was just fascinated with anything that shot a projectile, whether it was slingshot, BB guns, or anything like that. And when I turned 16, I got to the age where I can go and actually buy a bow. I visited that shop that you were talking about. It was called Lifetime Sports.
There you go.
I think it was the Dobson family were running it at the time. And I bought my first bow there, and it was a compound. And I got hooked for a good 2-3 years and shooting like crazy. There was no rangefinders back then. Releases were just starting to come out, so I was shooting compound with fingers. And God, the poor woman that worked there, I think her name was Andrea, lovely woman. I was stopping into the shop on a daily basis, picking her brain on learning how to do things and how to shoot. And then got introduced to a couple of 3D tournaments with Nickel Bowman back in the day. And I was just kids showing up on the range shooting with a bunch of adults, and I was actually doing okay. At lunchtime I'd be sitting in third place. I said, who's this kid coming out of nowhere? And next thing it was judging back then, and then your game falls apart, and it was a nightmare after that. But I was hooked early on in my life for sure. And I did it for about 2 or 3 years. And then I got introduced to another sport when I turned 19 or 20. And that took over about 20 years of my life. And I was head first into that. And my bow got tucked away over to the side. And it kind of just sat at my parents' house forever. But every once in a while, it was like calling out to me, I was always looking at it. I'd take it out, and once in a while I'd drop back, but I never just got back into it until just before COVID. And I another deep dive into the sport. Really
So,
good.
So
what was the other thing that took over?
God, I got into, of all things, paintball.
Really? Wow.
nice.
So I
Hell
was,
yeah.
19, 20 years old. I went out with a group of friends to a local paintball field, and I just fell in love with it. So much so that a year after that, I opened my own field at a shop.
That's awesome.
Played like there's two forms of paintball out there, and one of them is that weekend warrior stuff where you go out with a bunch of friends, you rent a paintball gun, you buy some paintballs, and you go out and you pretend like you're Rambo for the afternoon. And then there's the competitive side of it, the sport side of it. And that's what I was hooked on. And we started a team locally in Sudbury, and I morphed to, went over and started playing with a team out of London. And next thing you know, we're playing in the NPPL, which is National Professional Paintball League out in the States, and
Nice.
CXBL. And I don't know if you've ever seen it on TV or anything like that or on YouTube, but the fields are on turfed grass or air bunkers. Super, super fast game.
You played
And
speedball.
I did. I was a speedball guy. I loved it. And
So was I.
I got my gun mounted up here on my office desk still. But played with a team called Chop Shop out of London. And
Chop shop.
yeah, buddy. Yeah. I think, Misha, I got you. I think you talked the most in this show yet. We're going to talk some paintball. I love it.
This is
I'm
bringing
sure
back
some
some memories for me too.
Who did you play with back in the
And the
day?
CXBL, I don't know if you were still shooting it, but I was shooting for Petrolia Pirates, Mississauga Hate, Cambridge Commandos.
Okay. So I officially retired in 2009. I was like 39 at the time. My second was born, and I said, I can't commit to this practice schedule and all that. But it was Chop Shop for MPPL, and it was the CXBL team as well. Barry Chop Shop. Yeah, it was, we might have played against each other. We might have played against each other for sure.
I don't know, because I was 9 in 2009, so probably not.
I'm dating myself there. Holy shit. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. You're still young, pup.
But I played against guys that played for Chop Shop, and like they would all rep their old jerseys.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So there's guys, from Chop Shop in the time that you were playing that were still playing when I was playing.
Guaranteed. Like guys like Derek Daraska and who else? I think Snaggy and Ka and those guys, they're all still dabbling in it. I know we get together for alumni games once in a while. As old guys, we try to get out there and just have some fun. But I'm going to take this opportunity to shout out to the old Chop guys. Jane Moncasser, Scotty
Nice.
B, Sean Morris, Sean Ireland has, Derek Daraska, Tomlinson. You guys, I'm trying to, if they ever tune in and watch this, I want them to try archery.
There you go.
And I think they're going to love it.
Tomlinson.
I really do.
Tell them to come up to Rose City.
Tomlinson, he's probably the oldest guy in the league right now. He's still playing.
That's who I played with.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Small world.
Small world.
Well, Tony, if I would have known you would make Misha talk this much, I would have had you on the second episode.
That was a sport that, it was, there's nothing that compares in terms of adrenaline rush. And it just keeps you going. And it is a team sport through and through. Unlike archery, it's a lot of individual. But paintball was a team sport, and we traveled through the U.S. and Canada. And we had trailers with our team on the side. We were heavily sponsored by Chronic Paint at the time, and we had guns made for us. And we were really, really fortunate that way as a team. And it was a lot of fun. But got to grow up at some point, and my legs don't keep up like they used to. So right after that, it was around COVID. I had some family coming to visit, and you were limited to what you can do outdoors. So it's either fishing, go golfing, or whatever. So Wolf Den Sports, which is just around the corner from me, it's maybe 20 minutes from my house. I've always wanted to go there and check out the archery range, but at the same time, they have some great bass fishing ponds there. And my kids love fishing. And my in-laws were in town, so let's go for the day, and we'll just go bass fishing. That's it. No intentions of looking at bows or shooting at bows. And we went there, and we brought our rods, and we started fishing in the ponds, and I could see people walking over to the range. I'm looking over at the corner of my eye. I'm like, oh my God, that looks so cool. And I'm thinking back in days when I was shooting, and I told my wife, just give me a second. I'm just going to go walk up to the shop. I just want to take a look. I'm just looking. Don't worry. I'm just going to take a peek. And I was up there for about half an hour, and I met Gary and his crew there, and I walked out with a bow. And from there, deep dive into it. I shot like crazy. But that was a hunting setup at the time. And a few months after that, I took a deep dive into YouTube and started watching the ASAs and McCarthy and Levi Morgan. They earned their Matthews sponsorship because I ended up buying a Matthews TRX because of them. And that was it. It was the rest is history. I think it's consumed me ever since. Just love it. Yeah.
So let's go back 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be. I don't want to date you too much. I'm not too far behind you. So 2009, I was 36. Do you remember your first bow?
I still have it, to be honest with you.
Really?
It is a Bear Super Magnum 44-inch axle to axle. 44, and it was a compound. And it's funny because when I started getting back into it, I told my brother, "Hey, can you bring that old bow to the house?" And he did. He brought it, and I took it out, and I was just coated in dust. I took out all the arrows and all the stuff. I almost laughed because it was comical how the technology was back then. Like my hunting pins looked like lollipop sticks. They were so big.
I remember
it's
those.
crazy. And I was shooting the fingers. I got the gloves, and I'm like, I'm tuning this sucker up. I couldn't change the cables because they're steel cables. And the string looked in good shape, and I cleaned it up and put a D-loop on it because it didn't have a D-loop, and I put an old drop-away rest on it, and that thing still fires 55 pounds.
The other thing you probably didn't have on was a peep sight.
Didn't have a peep sight either. I put one of those in. You're right.
Because you used to use the string. You'd use the string, and you'd have your 5 pins. The lollipop pins. I remember those. It was you had like a big plate and these pins stuck out of them.
That's right.
Line up your string, and you'd play with your left and right. And if you did anything, it was quite the adventure trying to shoot those bows. But I got pretty good as well. So I remember getting pretty good when I was younger. It was awesome.
You especially when it was no rangefinders as well. Like I found myself in high school and anywhere I was walking, if I was walking the dog or going to class or out in a football field, I'd be looking and say, okay, how far is that? How far is that water can from me? Oh, it's like about 25 yards. And I pace it out. Everywhere I went, I'd be pacing things out to try and guess the distance. And that's how I practiced my rangefinding at the time. Sorry, go ahead, Jess.
So, sorry, were you good at pacing things out, or like did it take a while?
I got pretty decent at it. Like I wasn't using 3D targets. I'd be anything. Like I'd be going down the street and I'd be saying, okay, how far is that stop sign? That crosswalk, that line looks like it's about 18 yards. And I pace it out, or 30 yards or whatever the case may be. And it helped for sure, especially you're limited to what you had back then. And, at 16, 17 years old, you have a very, very finite budget. So you work with what you have. Yeah.
It's crazy what 30, 35 years of innovation will do to archery. Like,
I tell you, when I walked into the Wolf's Den and saw all the bows hanging there and how the sport advanced and the equipment advanced, my God, I couldn't resist. Like I'm a little bit of a tech nerd. I'm a closet nerd. I'll admit I don't care. I remember that with a little bit of badge of honor, but I grew up playing, a whole bunch of different sports, hockey, football, soccer. Those were my prime sports growing up. But there was always that little inner nerd inside me that loved the tech, loved, just like BB against the Pelicans, paintball. It was something that had a hook on me. I couldn't let it go.
Yeah, it's like, do you remember, like, so for me, like the reason why I got into archery, and I always say that it's got to be the dumbest reason ever, was the movie Rambo 2. That's why I got into archery. I watched that. I watched him shoot that Hoyt Spectre into that soldier, and the thing blew up, and I was like, I got to get one of these things. And
that's exactly, you stole my thunder, buddy. I was going to actually say that. It was Rambo 2 with that exploding broadhead and whatever the hell it had on that thing. I said, holy shit, that looks cool. I got to get and that movie sold it, and I thought that was that year that, God, I can't remember what, I was 16, I got to do the math, but it was around that time. Yeah. Rambo just came out, and I needed to go there and get one.
Yeah. If I recall, he used it on a couple of his, like, as he's sneaking into the camp to save those POWs. He used it a couple of times to kill a few soldiers. So that was like, I'm like, I got to get one of those. I had no idea what it was. Like, I didn't know it was a Hoyt. I had no idea. I just knew I wanted one. And I remember the first bow I bought, I think it was a company out of Manitoba. They were making a compound. Same thing, 44-inch axle to axle, 46 pounds, I think it was. And
it wasn't not much let off either.
No, there's hardly any. Loved it. Loved it. I wish I still had it, actually. I lost it when I moved to Toronto. So
Just to compare.
I
You
guess,
should
yeah, that
bring
was
your
a
boat to the range.
big time spread there, I guess, from the time it was 20 years of paintball and then getting back into the sport. But so much has happened in my life. Obviously, my career aspirations, that came to fruition when I was 26. I got hired with the OPP and met my wife. I got posted up north and I met my wife there and we started a family a couple of years after. I got two beautiful kids. They're 20 and 18 now. So my wife and I look at each other and say, "Oh my God, this fall we're going to be empty nesters. They're both going off to school, and we're going to be sitting. What do we do with ourselves? Like it's crazy. Lots on the go. Trust me, we're going to keep very busy. We got lots of plans and lots of things we want to do. Archery's a big one for me, but yeah, it's big transition in our lives for sure. These next couple of years.
So becoming a police officer, that was one of your dreams as a growing
It
up?
was. Yeah, it was something I wanted to do my whole life since I was in high school. There's all those reasons why you want to get into policing, but one of the big factors, and I can go out there and say, you want to be out there, just give back to the community and do everything you can to make things right and help other people. But at the same time, from a practical standpoint, it's one of those career choices where you can do it for 30 years and you'll never be in the same position. There are some times I sit back and I say that I can't believe I'm getting paid for this. This is, especially when I'm on the range and I'm shooting and we're doing training and things like that. It's it is a great job. There are some things obviously that you got to be able to filter out and keep away, like some of the negativity out in the world and the social media and things like that. But for the most part, it is a fantastic career choice for anybody who wants to get into it. I have no regrets whatsoever. I'm into my 27th year, pushing almost 28. So I got 2 more to go, and I hope to retire soon. And then I'm going to commit myself 100% to this sport that we all love.
Very nice.
How old were you when you joined the OPP?
I was 26. Yeah.
And where was your first? Where were you first stationed or whatever?
This is a good story. So when I first got hired, I didn't like when you join, especially the OPP, you don't really you give your selection in terms of where you'd like to be posted. And I think the furthest north I selected was Parry Sound. But when the recruiter, after all these process of selection came through, they called me and said that I'd be successful, and they asked me if I'd like to know where I was going. And I said, yeah, absolutely. I'd like to know where I'm going. And it says, you got a map in front of you. Remember, you guys, there's no internet, there's no Google Maps. So you break out the big road map, right?
Yeah.
It says, and he goes, yeah, so you got the map in front of you? And I go, yep, got it right here. Good, flip it over. Because Northern Ontario is on the back. I'm like, oh
no.
Shit.
Yeah, so I got posted to a, they call it Greenstone now, but it was a town called Longlac, which is about 12, 13 hours north of Toronto, off Highway 11. And at first, when I got posted there, I'm like, oh my God, I'm the prime of my life. I finally got the career choice that I've always wanted, and I got the job that I was gearing for, and I'm going to be stuck way the hell up here. What am I going to do? And for the first 6 months, it was a challenge because I got there in November, and the weather was terrible. I was there with my dad, and we're trying to get settled in, and I had a small apartment living, sitting on milk crates and flipped over cardboard boxes for a couple of months. And finally I got settled in. And long story short, I spent 4 years there, and it turned out to be honestly the best 4 years of my career. The people, the community are just fantastic. I call them still to this day. Some of them are my dear friends and family. Obviously, my wife was from Longlac. She was going to school in Sudbury, my hometown at the time.
Really? Wow.
So we met up there, and I went there as a bachelor, left engaged, and 23 years later was still happily married and 2 beautiful kids. And yeah, so
that's very awesome. Yeah, I think Longlac, that's furthest I've been is Hearst. So
another 2 hours west of that.
Wow.
Yeah, you don't realize how big this province is until you've actually traveled northwestern Ontario, and to get to the Manitoba border, you still had another 6 to 9 hours to go between there. So like this province is huge.
It is huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's 24 hours. 24-hour drive to get from Toronto to the border, right? It's about 24 hours. So it's a long drive. I know. My brother mined in Bombertown, Red Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And my God, what a place. What a place.
Yeah, I've never I've heard of it. I've had friends that worked up there, but
No,
I've never
wouldn't
been
want to
there
be a cop
myself.
there, so that's for sure.
It's you know what, working in those small towns, you really learn how to. I tell this to a lot of the you guys getting on. If they do get posted to small communities, is don't be afraid to get to know people, and really, because they're wonderful. Everybody is for that. If you isolate yourself too much, yeah, you're going to find yourself alone. And sometimes you're working alone, and you rely on the public sometimes to help bail you out of a out of a pickle. If you get yourself in a situation where you don't have backup for another hour, and you're relying on the somebody in the community to help you out, right? But yeah, for the most part, it's been a very positive experience.
What's the hardest part of the job?
You know, let's say, I guess I got to give a little background. So I worked my first 10 years in frontline uniform, and then I spent 13 working as a detective in major crime. And I transitioned from there laterally into another major crime investigative unit. But it's witnessing and seeing how other humans could treat and being subjected to that and seeing that all the time is difficult. And you know what, you just got to remember that it's you know, it's a very small percentage that you're dealing with, especially the haters out there. But you do got to have a thick skin for the job. There's no doubt about that. But witnessing firsthand in terms of the worst of humanity, and you see a lot of the good as well. That would be probably the most difficult. Yeah, you'll take that home with you, and it makes you love your family harder. It makes you, when you come home, you hug your wife and your kids that much more, and you cherish what you have and how blessed and lucky you actually are, and how lucky your kids are to be in certain situations.
Yeah,
In the situation that they're in, sorry, with a loving family and a good support network. And I don't shield them from that either. I do let them know of the positives and the negatives out there in the world, so that they're not naive to what's going on out there.
yeah, and it's like I remember I watched a documentary about it was Toronto Police Services, and they had a constable. She was a frontline uh, police officer, and they asked her what's the hardest part of the job, and she was saying, well, 90% of my job is dealing with the 10% of people that nobody wants to deal with, you know, going back to the same house that you know, where the kid hasn't taken his psych meds or whatever, right? So, or you know, where the husband is, you know, hit his wife numerous times and she doesn't want to press charges, you know, like that's kind of, she's like, it's the same people you see almost every week. I know, like your job right now is probably different than that, but you know, it's like, you know, I guess does the public really understand policing?
I think for the most part they do. There is that loud minority out there that tend to, you know, want to get their social media clicks and their views, so they like to gaslight certain situations to get negative reactions. And you know, there are circumstances and situations where, well, you know, that you know, the policing community is not infallible. They will make mistakes. They're humans, and bad decisions will be made. Sometimes you have to make those decisions in a split second. And you don't have the liberty of sitting back and watching the replay over and over again to say, "Hey, I could have done this differently. I could have done that differently." Because, you know, we're our own worst critic when we try to review how we could have improved on things. But the last thing we need is you know, the armchair quarterback watching it on YouTube and criticizing every move that's made when a decision has to be made in literally a split second.
So we'll lighten the mood a bit and take it back to archery.
Yeah.
No, like honestly, don't answer. Like I have a few friends who who do the work, and it's it's a tough job, and I you know, I give credit to anyone who can do it and still, like you said, come back to their families and, you know, give their, you know, their wife and kids a hug and whatever, right? You know, it's uh yeah, it's not it's definitely not an easy job. So from what I understand, anyways. But back to archery.
Segue.
Segue.
It's actually quite funny because I don't know if you guys can hear that.
Someone's watching. I guess Croatia just scored.
Croatia and Portugal are playing right now, and they're going bananas next door. So I'm assuming Croatia just scored or they won. I'm not sure what but
Nice.
You're spoiling it for me.
Yeah, you just put earplugs in. You didn't hear nothing.
It's all
There's
good. I
nothing.
didn't hear a thing. Yeah.
It was nothing.
Yeah.
Well, check.
They're watching another game.
He
It's
doesn't
just
want
funny
any
how the
spoilers.
conversation we're mentioning, how the conversation can stream over to police. It's one of the few professions out there where once somebody finds out what you do for a living, the conversation tends to drift that way. And I think when I first got into archery and get into the tournaments, it was just shortly after COVID. I think the first tournament I went to was up at AIM, and Dean Higgins, I think, that I met in Tin Kwan for the first time, and we all started talking in the range. I said, "What do you do?" He says, "Well, I'm into real estate and do real estate investing." And I went, "Oh, okay." So I didn't tell anybody what I did for a living, only because I've been doing it for a long enough time that once you, not that I'm not proud of what I do, I am very proud of the work that we do. But I don't have to tell the world or tell them, but here I am on a podcast talking about it, but not a big deal. I'm leaning to the end of my career, so that's fine. But in a new group of people, I don't tend to advertise what I do for a living, only because sometimes the conversations get awkward. Because next thing you know, they start talking about, "Oh, I got pulled over for speeding for this," and you believe what happened in the news the other day, and blah blah blah. And again, the conversation just goes sideways. And sometimes I just like to keep that part of it out of the mix. And if somebody wants to talk and have fun, have a good time, have good conversation outside of that, and judge me for who I am and not my profession, then all the better.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like we could judge anybody by professions. You could think someone who does janitorial work is not the most intelligent person, but you actually talk to the person. It's like, well, you actually are intelligent.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So like I work in the transit industry. I'm a long range planner, and I remember when I first started the work, I had to ride the bus we were doing a survey or something. And I remember talking to one of the operators, and you always think like, these guys are whatever, whatever it is. And he was actually he was an aerospace engineer, and he left the job because it was too stressful. And he's like, "I love this job because I know exactly what to expect. I know what my shift is, and I go home to my family, not stressed out." And that sort of thing, right, from the work. So it's amazing. And he's one of the kindest people, because he had he had an autistic gentleman like who would ride the bus every day just to ride the bus, and he took this kid to lunch. Like as soon as you start asking people about themselves rather than what they do, you really start to figure out who they are, right? So I think that's like a really important lesson that we should all take with us. So in 2020, you get back into archery after a long hiatus.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Did you? What happened in 2020 that I know you went to I guess you went to Wolfstand. You saw some bows, and you were like, "I'm back in love."
Oh, I always had to carry some sort of hobby. I just whether it's archery or paintball. While my kids were growing up, I was heavily involved in their sports. From the time that they turned 3-4 years old, I was either coaching hockey, coaching soccer, on the executive for minor hockey or the OMHA center contact for a few years. And that kept me really, really busy. So I always had something there to keep me busy and involved.
Mm-hmm.
And it was around that time I was starting to transition and pull away from those rules as much, because I've been doing so much of it. And I still kept it up until about 2 or 3 years ago. But once I started competing more in the archery scene and getting more involved, I realized this alone takes a lot of time. And as the kids got older, they didn't need me as much being there all the time. And they started getting coaches that were outside of the parent group. So I know when my son turned U18 for hockey, the bench staff was all non-parents. So which is a great thing. My wife coached my daughter's soccer team, so she kept busy with that right up to the end as well. So as a family, we were super, super busy. And my wife and I still sit back once in a while and say, I don't know how we did it these last 20 years. From having two busy, involved careers, we're heavily involved parents, and volunteered like crazy with our minor hockey and soccer and things like that. And we still managed a small family business on the side as well. So yeah, it was
Wow, you were busy.
It was very, very busy. And but I wouldn't have it any other way. We like keeping busy that way, and
Mm-hmm.
we involved the kids early as well in our real estate business as well. They were out at houses painting with us at 7 years old, and they'd be helping us paint walls and clean things up and stuff like that. So we kept them involved with us as a family unit quite a bit.
It's awesome. That's really awesome.
But in terms of archery and getting into it, like I said, that there was always calling to me. It's like in Star Wars, the lightsaber calling out, like it's like, he wants me there. He wants me to pick it up and shoot it. And then when I started to get back into it, I was just anything, the whole build process, building the bow and reaping the benefits of your efforts. Because the more effort you put into your setup and to your training, you are going to improve. Not everybody is going to have the DNA or the eye-hand coordination or the stability to be able to shoot like Chris Perkins and Randy Morocco, but it's your setup will definitely help. There's no doubt about it. And the more that you understand the science behind archery, the science behind arrow flight and tuning of a bow, the more successful I think you'll be overall.
Do you remember the moment where you thought to yourself, I could be really good at this?
It's a good question. You know what? I think it was one of my first tournaments up at AIM, and I was still pretty green. That's Archers in Muskoka. And I was so green that when I registered for the event, I think I registered for the wrong category because I went in the unknown division because I compound unlimited.
Yes.
And I was a compound.
Unlimited
I'm compound unlimited. Okay, that must be the right division. I get there and registered, and I'm shooting up there, and I think that's where I met Tim Kwan for the very first time. And he pulls out this thing. He's a rangefinder. He's ranging the distance. I'm like, what the hell? You can do that? I'm like, he says, yeah, you can do that. He says, what division are you in? I told him, well, I'm in the compound limited. Well, we can't tell you what the range is then, so we've got to make sure that we stay quiet. I'm like, all right, no problem. So I kept shooting, and I actually did pretty damn good. But I'm thinking to myself, damn, if I knew the distance, I'd be smoking these things. I'd be on the leaderboard. So I never registered for another unknown event after that. And from there, I was progressively started getting a little better, and then I won my first provincial, second provincial I went to, and that was at AIM as well, and I ended up winning that, and that was back when the provincials had huge turnouts, had good turnouts, and I think that was my most memorable win because it was my first big win. And I went to a few club events before that, and it was successful there, but that one felt really good. Yeah.
Nice. Which finish means the most to you?
Yeah, it's got to be that provincial, the provincial championship. I think it was 2023. There was the whole crew was there. They were all shooting it, and that one felt the most. It was my first big one, and that really lit the fire in my belly and kept me going. Yeah, once I carried that medal home, I was very proud of that one for sure.
Where you'd be shooting senior known 50.
I was shooting first year senior known. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I finished last in that division. 2020. I had a PSE Supra, and I didn't realize that there's a design flaw in the PSE Supra. I can't remember which one it is, but the top limb, the limb bolt loosens. So I started off with it all the way to the, with the poundage all the way down. And when I ended the first day, it was that much out. I was like, what the hell? So I was wondering why I'm shooting. I kept shooting. It just kept going higher and higher or lower. I can't remember whichever one, but yeah, but of course, no. And, to what George Ryle said on the show, it's no one knows when you're last. No one gives a shit, right? But they all remember who's first, right? So that's
true.
when you start. That's how you know everybody is like. Because when you're up there, all those guys, because they want to know who you are, right? Don't care who's last, because gives a shit about the last guy. What's he going to teach you?
And then you bought a Matthews.
No, it wasn't a Matthews after that. I don't remember what I bought after that. No, you're right. I did buy a Matthews after that. I bought the Perkins bow after that.
So I bought one of his bows as well.
No, there you go.
Yeah.
I remember when you showed me that bow, you're like, this is Chris Perkins' bow. And this is when I just started getting into competitive. I was like, okay. It's like, who's that?
Who's that?
I had no idea.
Is there a finish people think was great and you walked away, you're like, disappointed?
Sorry, a finish?
Yeah, like a finish tournament.
In terms of like finishing well, but you never thought you shot well? Is that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? This past indoor provincial, to be honest with you, I dropped an arrow. I ended up winning gold at the provincial indoor at the IFFA. And the thing is, when I ended my scorecard, my very last arrow I was shooting a clean round. I was slated for a 300, and it was, honest to God, my last arrow of the day. It was my 60th arrow, and I popped it out. And was that one there. Even though I'd won the gold, I was so disappointed that I couldn't keep it together for the 60 arrows. And yeah, that one. That's probably the one for sure. It's I'm not I don't train heavily for indoor, but I like to shoot it just to keep the arrows flying over the winter, and it's good for working on your form and whatnot. So I do stay up with it, and I do shoot provincials for that every year. Yeah.
You don't convince me. It's these two guys you got to convince.
I don't mind paper now. It's just
it is boring as hell, Misha. It is boring as hell, but it will make you a better archer. There's no doubt about it.
I agree. I think paper can really improve how you shoot, and it tells you what's wrong with you a little bit. But I think it's just being indoors is what doesn't entice me a lot.
I agree to that.
When we shot the field shoot at Shooters, I enjoyed myself.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So you guys both tried field archery or indoors?
It was the shooter's choice. So it was like a 20 meter
target.
Oh, okay, 20. Okay,
target.
Yeah.
Sorry, not field target.
That's it's a common mistake. Field is almost like 3D. So it has targets.
It was a lot of fun, anyways.
Field is paper target. It's
paper 3D. That's where 3D came from. It was actually field.
Oh, okay.
It's funny. That's one thing I do tell a lot of people that get into the game. Like I still consider myself, even though I'm in the senior class, I somewhat of a rookie when it comes to competition shooting. But what I do tell people is what helped me a lot is get out there and shoot as many tournaments, league nights, club nights as you possibly can. With keeping score and with some sort of gallery watching you or with spectators, because that little bit of anxiety that's built up because somebody's watching you is going to improve your shooting 100%. Because when we can all shoot in our backyard, and there's sometimes I go in my backyard, I go to the range by myself, and I'm like, geez, man, I can't miss. This is awesome. But then you get to an event and things tend to fall apart. You get that little bit anxious, right? You start punching the trigger, but the more you do it with people watching, the more comfortable you feel. And it was a good way to segue into hunting as well, because one of the guys asked me, I think it was Peter Ray, that asked me when I bagged my first buck last year. He says, Tony, did you get buck fever when you saw that thing walking up on you? And I sat back and I thought about it. I said, actually, no, I didn't. To be honest with you, I had the wherewithal to take my cell phone out, record it walking it through the trees. I already knew if it reaches this little window within the trees, that's 27 yards. I knew it right there. And then it's just a matter of hitting the upper 12 and you're good to go. And
the upper 12.
And lo and behold, I put my phone away and it keeps walking. And I drew back and I saw my opportunity, and it was a beautiful hit, beautiful shot, clean passer. It ran off maybe 40 yards and it was right through the heart. And it wasn't until I sat back in my tree stand and I was waiting, for that time to pass, when things calmed down, that I started to get a little bit of the shakes. I'm like, holy shit, I got one, but at the time, I felt no nerves whatsoever. And I'll tell you something right now, you shoot at a big tournament at a shoot off, that is a hell of a lot more pressure than sitting entry stand shooting at a deer by yourself. Absolutely.
Did you feel more pressure at shooting the shoot off of the provincials than you did with that deer?
Yes, yeah, 100%. And I got my man Justin there holding my umbrella, buddy. I cannot thank you enough for for stepping up and helping me out, first of all, but especially on that last target. I think it was down 4 points. I needed that 14 to tie it up. It was that long 50-yard buffalo. And I could hear you whispering in my ears like a Brokeback Mountain scene. You were like, Tony, you got this. You got this.
You did. You smoked it.
And I drew back and I let her go, and it felt like a mailbox. I didn't even look at it, but I gauged based on your reaction that I got.
Yeah.
You smoked it, yeah.
He smoked it. He had it.
He smoked.
It felt great. And it's that type of positivity that I believed I was going to hit that shot before I even drew back. And that's a good umbrella guy right there. That's a wingman right there. And if I ever see it in another tournament, I hit shoot down, you're there, buddy. I really hope you're available to.
Southern Canadian.
Help me out again.
Southern Canadian.
Not to say anything. Hey, Randy Reed, Tim Kwan, you guys helped me in the past. David Garrett as well. You guys have been fantastic. But Justin, something else. Appreciate it,
umbrella, man.
We got this as the Southern Canadian.
Yeah.
You're going, right?
I do have to say,
I'll be definitely going with that. Yeah.
I taught him everything I know. That's all. I'm gonna say.
I got the form from him.
Well, the last thing you want to do is if you're in it, face yourself in a shoot down, the last thing you want to do is start worrying about the math.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where you're sitting, how many points behind. And a couple of times he whispered over to me, he says, he got a 10. So, okay, good. I don't have to look at the scoreboard. He's got a 10. So I'm going for a 14. And then he got nothing. I'm going for a 14. And that helped a lot. I didn't have to worry about that part. I could just focus on my execution and my shot, and it was good.
It was a blast.
I did notice that your shot process is a lot more patient, and you take your time before you even decide to draw back. Like, I think I was watching 3 of them had already shot, and you were still looking through your binoculars at the target. And that's something that I got to learn to just do that, just chill and really focus and take my time.
You know, what's going through your mind, like when that's happening? Because for me, it's like my knees are knocking and I got to shoot my goddamn bow. So I don't know. Like,
for me personally,
yeah,
I cannot look back at the crowd. That's for sure. If I focused on the targets, I don't look behind me. I don't want to see the people. I know they're there, but I don't want to. I don't want to believe they're there. I put myself in a different place as if I'm shooting in my backyard, and just me and the target, nothing else. And I focus on hitting that 12 or that 14 or whatever I'm aiming for. But the key is definitely just you got to shut everything off. You got to block everything out, all the peripheral garbage that's off to the side or behind you. People laughing and there's people notorious for trying to get in your head and say things at the last second. You just got to block that out for sure.
Do you approach your targets differently in a shoot off compared to during the tournament?
I know that in a shoot off, it's open area, it's good lighting, so I do feel a lot more confident shooting in a shoot off versus in the woods. I feel like if I can see it, I can hit it. And a lot of times in these dark, shadowy woods that we've shot in, especially at the provincials and some other tournaments, you see the silhouette of the animal. You know it's there, and you know that the 10 ring is there, and you know where the 12s are situated. But sometimes you go looking for it, and that's where your pin starts to dance, and you build up that anxiety, and you end up releasing at the wrong spot. And he says, "Yeah, I hit right behind the pin, but my pin was, 3 o'clock 10 instead of where you want it to be." But the darker targets definitely I struggle with, especially the older you get. Your eyes are just not the same. You can't see as well. But out in the open field, I felt like I could see out to, I could just barely make out the rings on that 50-yard target with my setup. Yeah, and I dialed back my power as well, so I'm not shooting a high power lens either anymore, because that just amplified. I thought my anxiety in the back end because my pin flow was just dancing way too much.
So do you feel like not that we're going to dwell on policing for too long, but do you feel like you talk about focus, you talked about the tech part. I think a lot of us archers are almost OCD. Does archery help you in your profession?
It definitely, it's a good way to blend into, this being the end of Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. There's something to be said when you're out there on the range. And, I a lot of times I carry my bow in my car. So when I'm done work, if I do have time, I'll stop in at the range after work and I'll go shoot a few arrows. And sometimes it's a good way to decompress and just.
Hey folks, the Letdown podcast has teamed up with Stray Suns Co., a Southern Ontario-born hunting apparel brand bringing high-quality gear to our fellow Canadian hunters. New tees, hats, and hoodies released every month. Use code LETDOWN15 to save 15% at checkout. That's LETDOWN15, all caps, to save 15% at checkout.
Declutter your mind from all the chaos of the day. And one of my favorite places to shoot, and always will be, is the Wolf's Den out in Barrie. And they have this one shot. If you get there at the right time of the day, like when sun's beginning to set, the sky is turning orange, and it's just great shots. A 58-yard elk over one of the bass ponds, and it's dead silent. There's nobody out there. It's nearing the end of the night, and it's super quiet. You might hear a few frogs in the background chirping, and you draw back that bow, and you just hear that distinct whistle of the arrow flying through the air, and then that thud. Boom. and you just fling a few of those, and you sit back on the Muskoka chair, and you just soak it all in. And that's, to me, is the most peaceful, calming experience. And that's one of the things that draws me to archery as well. Is it really for the soul. There's no doubt about it.
Agreed. Totally agree with that.
For sure, 100%.
So, one thing I've noticed about archery is that, we compete against each other all day, but then, afterwards, I always say, uh, it's kind of like a party, and then archery just seems to be the reason for it, right? It's kind of what happens around the party is archery. So just wanted to kind of talk about community a bit. Who will become your friends, and since you've joined the sport?
That is a easy question to answer, because I tell you, God, where can I start with this? Because I got it running. I was teased quite a bit, especially going to my first ASA event. I was called a fanboy, and of course, Dean Higgins. He's one of my best buddies in the archery community. He'll rip me till the cows come home. But when we went to the first London, Kentucky, the first ASA event, I was leading up to that. I was like, I'm a super fan when it comes to archery. I love the sport. I follow all the shooters. I watch all the ASA shoot downs. And when you get there and you see all these people that you've been following for so long and listening to every word, watching every little mannerism they do with their shot process, and you see them live for the first time, get a little starstruck. I'm not a guy, I don't get starstruck with Hollywood or even other sports figures, but for some reason, these are good people I did. So I made a point of going around, and I want to take a picture with all these people. So I went and took selfies with pretty much everybody, from Levi to Tim Gillingham to Kara Kelly, you name it, to Jesse Broadwater, Leo Ryle, Chris Perkins, you name it. I took selfies with them all. And Dean will never let me down on this one, because he jokingly says, "You caused Paige Pierce to lose in the shoot down." I say, what are you talking about? I didn't cause anybody. Says, "You interrupted her as she was going over to the shoot down, and he went and asked her for a picture, and it distracted her completely." I'm like, "No, I didn't. That's not the way it turned out." And long story short, she was at the practice range. She was chatting away. She was all smiles and happy. And then she walked by and I said, "Tony, she's like 6 feet away from me. Here's your perfect chance." And I said, "Hey, Paige," and she's a wonderful girl. She's super pleasant, always smiling. I said, "Paige, any chance I get a photo with you?" And he said, "Absolutely." So we took a selfie, and that was the end of it. And of course, the guys are all, "Oh, you took a picture with Paige." And then she walks over and goes to a shoot down. Well, she didn't win that time. And then they blame me because she didn't win. But yeah. No, the guys are all awesome. We have a core group of guys that whenever we travel to a tournament, we rent the house, and it's the same group that you stay with. And we nicknamed the house HGL. Don't ask what the acronym stands for, because it's just a bunch of immature guys. Okay. Just a bunch of immature guys that go for a guys' weekend, and we have a great time there. And then we shout out to the Dave and Tom Schnarr and Tim Kwan, and Dean and Mason, Adam Colnut, and Dave Garrett. Those are the core group that we tend to get in Airbnb with. We've had some guest appearances there from Jason and Rebecca, just the last tournament as well. But we go to these things and we are focused. Don't get me wrong. We're all business. We want to shoot well at the tournament, but once the shooting gets done, we sit back, relax, no filter. We speak our minds, we joke, we laugh, we have a good time, and there's no judgment. And we have a saying, what happens at HGL stays at HGL, and that's doesn't go any further than that.
That's so awesome, man. Like, I love hearing those stories. It's awesome. So is there anyone who currently inspires you, out of the bunch of people we know here in the community?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. That's a great question today, guys. You know what? There's two. There's two. And, I got to say, Bruno Warren is one of them, hands down, and Randy Morocco. Only because, the biggest reason is because they're a similar age to me. And Bruno locally we shoot against each other all the time. And in the last year and a half, he's gotten to that level that I want to get to. And he's put in the time and the energy, and we talk all the time. And, sometimes people ask, "Oh, you're so lucky to be able to shoot these guys." Luck has nothing to do with it, my friend. That's a lot of work involved and a lot of commitment, a lot of energy to get to that level. And, I think, he understands that he's in a position in his life where he's able to commit that kind of time and energy. And I aspire to get to that level too. I have goals. I'd like to be able to shoot pro as well. That's my ambitions.
That's awesome.
I don't think I'm there yet. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that I just don't have the time I could commit to it, to the proper training and to get to that next level. But yeah, definitely. And then seeing Randy Morocco this year shoot, the way he's been shooting the last 2 years, he's got 2 or 3 years on me as well. He's older than I am, and he's just lights out, and such a gentleman as well.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing but respect for him, and the way he shoots. And it's another good story about him, actually, when the first time I met him, because it was 2 years ago. Or no, it was last year. Bruno held a little shoot because London, Kentucky had the tornado. So he invited the guys that were all going to go down to London, Kentucky to his house. And we had a little mini shoot. Randy was one of them. And it's the first time I met him there. And of course, the fanboy teasing came out with me because Randy was there. And I was going to start, giving it to him. So we're on the campfire. We're all talking. And I'm having a real one-to-one with Randy. And I'm just listening to every word he has to say. Like, he's talking and I'm like listening attentively. If I had a pen and paper, I'd be taking notes. And there's Dean. Look at him. He's there, and boy. So I just looked over and I just said, hey, quiet up here. Mr. Morocco was talking, right? We just left it at that. And and from there we got a chance to see each other. Whenever we get to an AC, I always making a point of paying Randy a visit, and he'll stop by our house or whatnot and stop in for a drink. It's he's a great guy.
Oh, that's awesome. So I have to hear about the story behind winning the bow at Rogues.
Boy, yes. Okay, I don't know if before Rogues Hollow became Rogues Hollow, it was an invitational shoot. I guess you can call it the inaugural Rogues Hollow event. It was an invitational shoot. He wanted all the experienced archers that have shot a lot of tournaments. Peter wanted to invite everybody there to see how the course played out before he went ahead and made Rogues Hollow what it is today. And all the top guys were there shooting, and we had a great time. And Peter, has this beautiful elite bow box sitting beside his trailer. Says the winner of this tournament wins this bow, and everybody's like, "You kidding?" He says, "No, this is the bow you're winning if you whoever gets top score." So we're all gunning for it, and this is like beautiful. It's a nice elite bow. And I did end up getting the top score, and I won it. And then they go to produce, give out the prize, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, what a gorgeous bow!" And says, "Open it up, let's see this thing." Nobody knew anything. Everybody thought it was legit, except when I cracked open the bow, it was one of those suction cup little kiddie bows.
Oh my God,
that's terrible.
So we all got a good laugh at that, and and it was actually hilarious at the time. And Peter later on kind of felt bad about it, but at the same time, what's there to feel bad about? This is hilarious.
Yeah,
the fact that you even offer up a bowl like that is for an invitational shoot like this is crazy. But anyway, then you fast forward 2 years, and then he had this bowl up for grabs at the prize table, out of we all ended up getting tickets for it, and then he's about to draw the names, and he ends up drawing the name and calls out, "It's my name." I said, "I'm not falling for this again. Forget it. Draw another one. It's not me. Bullshit. I'm not going up there. I'm not making a fool of myself again." And he says, "No, it's right here." And he got somebody else to read it out, and sure shit, I won that elite bow. And I thought for sure this was going to be the bow that I was going to give my son. And I was really hoping that my son would take up archery. I've been trying to get him out there. We've been to the range. He was born with a hockey stick in his hand, unfortunately not a bow. And he looked at it, he said, "Dad, so what do you think that bow's worth?" I said, "Well, that whole package is probably about $2,000. And he goes, "Ooh, you know what kind of hockey stick I get for that?" I'm like, I knew it. I knew right there. I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm selling this thing. I just bought a brand new hunting bow, so I couldn't, I couldn't use it. And then I ended up rehoming it to a great guy, and he got it for his son. And they've already started shooting it. It went to a tack event to Lee Nielsen and his boy, and I'm glad he's getting some good use.
Awesome. Yeah, it's always nice to be able to get someone a new bow, especially a young fella, because I know my young fellas have no interest. They love soccer. I never grew up with it, never watched it, and but they all love it. So I go to soccer games, and I'm like, I still don't get it, but especially watching.
We're in the same boat.
So watching it on TV, I just don't get it. It's not made for TV. Definitely not made for TV.
Yeah, the sad part with was when I brought my daughter out for Father's Day. They said, Dad, what do you want to do for Father's Day? And I said, well, do you want to come to Wolfskin or rent a couple of bows and you guys can try it out? And they're like, okay, yeah, okay, we'll do that. And we brought them out. And I thought maybe this is my chance. If they get hooked, this would be perfect. My daughter is a natural. She is a natural. I wish she would get into it. And she was using a recurve and she was just killing it. And I wish she would get into it. But no, another thing, she's a soccer player too. So yeah.
They got different interests. It's all right. So hopefully maybe they'll be like us and, and
they'll get into archery.
20 years later, they'll get into archery.
Yeah.
I do have a quick question for you guys, though.
Yeah.
One of the things I was hoping that I could bring out when we're talking here on this platform is that the four of us right now, we love the game. Mm-hmm. We love archery. We love 3D archery. So we don't have to sell it to each other, but we do need to sell it to other archers or people that are on the fence of wanting to give it a try for the first time. And I'm a member at Baseboard and Rod and Gun Club, and I think 95% of the archers there are your typical bow hunter. They pull out their bow 2 weeks before hunting season. They dial it in. They're happy with a pie plate at 25 yards, and that's it, and that's the end of it. Somehow we need to tap into those people, those guys and girls, and get them into the 3D competition shooting circuit. Well, whether or not they dive deep like us and go head first into the countryside or just participate in these 3D shoots, because we do have a lot of shoots throughout Ontario. Almost every weekend you could go to a shoot somewhere, club level or one of the major premium events. But we've got to start increasing numbers.
I agree.
This is a challenge that I'm putting out to everybody who's listening to this podcast right now, is find one person that owns a bow or is thinking about getting a bow and bring them out to a tournament. And be that ambassador to the game, be that mentor, just get them out to let them experience what it's like. And if they love it and they dive in and they want to get involved, great. But if they don't, well, at least you tried. You know what? If we all did it and you got 100 people that participated in this, they all got one person and only a 10% success rate, that's 10 new archers to the game that'll start coming out to tournaments on a regular basis.
There's a guy that I've been trying to work at, or he joined with Royal City. He picked up his card the other day, but he was at Shooter's Choice, and I've been working on him for like a year. Him and his buddy, and I'm like, you need to come out. You need to come try. You need to come try it. Yeah, he actually came out. See, and then he went out into the bush, and I was like, you need bug spray and a thermosal. And he went, no, I don't. He walked in and then walked out 2 minutes later. And he's like, you're right.
Yes, you do.
Yes, I do. Yeah, you do.
Goddamn bugs in
Yeah, no, I try all the time to.
It's a good segue because I wanted to get into this a little bit, actually, Tony, and I'm glad you brought it up. Like for my part, I know I got that guy. Joe, I don't know where he is on my screen or on your screen, but your Umbrella Man was. I got him into 3D archery because I met him at indoor archery, and I said, "Hey man, you got to come out sometime and try some 3D." And then now he never wants to do indoor again. Benoit Boulet is another guy got into 3D archery. Never tried it before. He came to the club, and I remember the first time he's out there, and it's like 12. I'm like, I think you're pretty good at this. You might want to. You ever think of competing? And he's like, yeah, sure. He's like, the guy. There's a lot of these like killers out there that. But I'll be honest, Tony. Like at the club, I think out of the 160 members we have now, I would say about 15% actually shoot 3D. The rest of them just stay on the range, never go out in the bush. Yeah, it's weird. So I tried to start league, which got a lot of young guys into it, and they actually met each other, and they got they made some long-term friendships out of it. And I always tell people, like, if you want to come to one of our events, I will have somebody go with you just to try it out, or you can, we'll meet you before and we can practice. But there's just, I don't know if it's a fear. So a lot of people are like just, and I think just not everyone's competitive. I think it's because, like you said, like when we're talking amongst the four of us here, we're all competitive people. Like I've been competitive all my life. I've always competed in either sports or something. Misha and Justin's a competitive guy as well. So So I mean, I think I like that idea. Is just grab a person and say, hey, come on, try it. And even when we do like we were doing drop-ins at the early this year, and it's mostly recurve shooters, like because our club bows are recurve bows, but we take them out. We say, yeah, you got to see, you got to check out this thing out here. And we've gotten a few people join up and at least try it. So, but yeah, I wanted to segue into actually Ontario archery, and not Archery Ontario specifically, but Ontario archery. You know, we've been kind of seeing the kind of see, we've been here long enough, like it's been 6 years for me to see some like some of the ebbs and flows, right? And some of it was COVID, and some of it is we're right now we're seeing a huge ebb, especially when it comes to provincial. Uh, I guess the question is like what are we doing well right now, in Ontario for archers?
I think we're giving a lot of options out there for sure in terms of events and tournaments. Like you look on the Ontario archery website, and there seems to be like an event every weekend. And then outside of Archery Ontario, there are some of the best tournaments in Canada being held right here in Ontario as well. With Porcupine Hollow, Rogues Hollow, Perkins with their inaugural shoot this year has been a huge success. And Southern Classic is top of its game as well. But in terms of giving options, we are second to none. I don't know about the guys out in the East Coast. I think they envy the fact that we have so many sheets available to us and so many clubs within driving distance. That's not 3-4 hours away. And it's doable. So in terms of that's it's a positive. But I think we have to be the shooters themselves, got to put a little bit on themselves to be better ambassadors to the game. And really, when you see somebody coming out who's new, who's fresh, doesn't understand the game, doesn't know really how to score, take them under your wing and really show them how the game is played, and be encouraging and be positive, and let them know that, hey, we all started in the same situation, and you can't expect to be shooting like this guy from day one. And a lot of people don't expect that ever, but you go out there just to have some fun and compete against yourself and to try and improve from the score that you got last time you went out. And if you have that kind of mindset, I think it's a winning recipe that you're going to enjoy yourself and be some successes there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely a really patient sport or activity, however people view it. And with the new generation coming out with all the TikTok and Instagram reels and all that, they have short attention spans. They don't have the patience to put their time and energy into a precision sport that requires it. So you have to grab those people, give them a good shake, smack around a bit, and tell them that's not real life. Real life needs patience.
Yeah. Misha's not an ambassador, obviously. Smacking people around. Get in this goddamn sport.
He's got a point there. He's got a point
though, right? Like
the kids nowadays, they want that instant gratification. They want that dopamine rush constantly. Yeah. And you just have to watch somebody, a gamer who's playing, and they're going bananas with a group of kids playing online basketball. And I'm like, my son is guilty of that sometimes. I'm like, why don't you grab a basketball, go to the court, and actually go play basketball?
Yeah, we're certainly I think that's where we're really missing the mark. Like, I think we have to target, no, I don't want to use the word target, but like, you have to go up to parents and let them know, like, the people don't realize the benefits of this sport, especially for kids who struggle with every kid's got ADHD now, or ADD, and you also the spectrum or what have you. And there's a ton of studies out there showing, like, well, first of all, just archery itself, like archery has hugely beneficial to kids who suffer with attention deficit or autism or what have you. Right? It helps them to actually become more social. Even though it's a solitary sport, which is weird, it's like this weird phenomenon. And then the other thing too is just being outside, like. So sorry. When you talk about being a nerd, I'm a huge nerd. So I read a lot. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. And one of the audiobooks I'm listening to now, which was recommended by our last guest, Warren, The Comfort Crisis. And the Japanese are doing a lot of work with people outside and seeing the health benefits of just putting them outside for 3 days. actually in 5 days, what they're finding is someone who is outside, like camping or what have you, right? In like the real, uh, as much as they have forest or whatever, but they're seeing like their diabetes reversing, their heart and blood pressure like coming back to normal. And that's just after 5 days of being outside in the wilderness. You know what I mean? Like at 20 minutes a day, apparently, of being outside and not looking at your phone once, and like just being amongst the trees. The benefits are astronomical. It's amazing, and we just like these are the kind of things that we have to be telling people about, not just the sport, but like what, like you come to the club, it's wilderness, it's a bush, it's you're out there. So, and I think, yeah, that's where, and obviously I'm mumbling through it, so I'm not the guy to do it, but I think somebody's got to be out there telling people, man, like this is so beneficial for you and your kids, and we have families, like, but we don't have very many, unfortunately, and it kind of saddens me because I don't know if it's that families aren't spending time together doing things like that because their kids are on the internet or whatever, but anyways.
Well, I tell you something. What you mentioned there just earlier about families getting together, and that when I'm being teased about being a fanboy, who I'm really a fanboy of right now in archery is some of the families that are coming out to the tournaments on a repeated basis. Like you got the Harper family, the Wood Jones family, the Lather family, the McKelveys. They come out there, and mom and dad, the kids, they're all participating in these tournaments. And I sit back and it's like, that is so beautiful to see. I love seeing that. And as much as I'm a fanboy of Levi Morgan and that, I actually almost love seeing that more. And I think I went up to the Harpers at the last event at Perkins and said, "Hey, how's my favorite archery family doing?" And because I follow them as well, and they see they're into different things, and they're always traveling and camping and going to these tournaments. And there's a part that's I'm a little envious of that. I wish I can involve my family into it. We did it different routes with different sports and different activities. We can't all enjoy the same thing, but to have a family all enjoy the same sport together is wonderful. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's absolutely a beautiful thing. I agree with that. But we're gonna let you off the hook here soon, there, Tony. So we'll start wrapping this up for you. So just time for a little bit of reflection. Looking back, what is archery giving you that you weren't expecting?
I didn't expect to build the friendships that I have over the last few years. Like I can quit archery tomorrow and I'll still be very good friends with the people that I met. I didn't expect the community to be so welcoming as well. And because my very first tournament I went to, I said I expect to go shoot and then I'll go home and I'll probably never see these people again. Not happening. We're seeing each other 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year at these major events, and here we are sometimes even living together for the weekend, and we're calling each other up on the phone and talking about things that have nothing to do with archery. Just talking about life and really getting to know each other, and the bonds and friendships are definitely something I didn't expect to get out of it.
And then last but not least, someone listens to the episode 10 years from now, what do you hope they remember about Tony Mark?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. I don't know, somebody that I was fun to shoot with and to hang out with off the course, off the range. Like I come across sometimes as somebody who's difficult to approach, but it was like if they really knew me, I got a crazy sense of humor. A lot of times politically incorrect. I got to make sure I got to keep that filter on pretty good. But I hope to be known as somebody that they can be themselves and have a good time with. And shoot your bow, compete, have fun, and yeah.
Yeah, on that note, that was awesome, Tony. Thanks for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you guys
pleasure.
having. I appreciate having me, guys. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Justin, I might have a gem there, but he's
no, I don't got
no gems today.
No gems today.
He's spent an hour and 30 minutes in this hot ass shipping container.
It's okay.
No AC.
He's actually not looking too bad.
It's okay. But no, that was awesome.
Agreed.
I don't think most people realized you were a cop. Well, no, I don't think anyone really did. except for your close friends, right? So you don't like, to me, when I first met you, you seemed very quiet. Like you just kind of hanging all by yourself in the corner, don't want to, really didn't mingle. But you know what? You're a hell of a shooter, man. I think so. Yeah. The fact that you smoked all 314s, like that
Appreciate it.
was,
It did feel good. I'll be honest with you.
yeah.
I finally did something in practice, and I brought it to the actual tournament. So it was good.
Yeah, but it was a good shoot off. And if you didn't aim for like that upper 12, you would have won the thing. Because you called it. You literally said you hit the upper 12, and you're like, Tim, he shoots center, IBO. He's gonna smoke it, and he did.
Tim and I have battled many times, and this is a nice little story about Tim because we shot provincials against each other back to back. The first year I won, the second year he won. Tim's a great shooter, phenomenal shooter. But there was 2 years in a row that I tubed his arrow. And it was provincials were center IBO. And some people when they say, "Oh, I got a Robin Hood," well, it was a Robin Hood because the person shot the center and he had no other choice but to Robin Hood him to get the point, because that's a true Robin Hood. And I did it twice with him, both times, and he had limited amount of Carbon Express arrows because they were older. So it's twice I destroyed his arrow. And that's what he stuffed the center of the tenoring, and I had no other choice but to aim for it. I was hoping for a deflection and try to just kind of sneak it in there, but ended up tubing zero. But we got a good laugh out of it. But I didn't do it this time.
But it was probably a lot more fun to tube zero.
Yeah, it felt good. So,
Yeah, because now he owes him an arrow.
No. There's none of that. No way.
No, like
he shook my hand, he said, "Great shot," and that was the end of it.
Yeah, like if we're shooting 3D and I hit the center and he tubes my arrow, or Robin Hood's my arrow, I'm out an arrow. He's not.
Yeah. Right? And we both scored an 11, so it's all good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, on that note, I'm just gonna hit the stop button here, and if you just want to hang on there, Tony.
Right.
I'm Justin Harrison. You can find me on Instagram at Justy_785 or on Facebook. Just look up Justin Harrison.
I'm Misha Corso. You can find me on Instagram at Misha Corso. And if you're looking for some great bow hunting and sport shooting merch, look up Stray Sons Archery on Instagram.
I'm Chris LaFleur. If you want to find us, the show is Letdown Podcast on Spotify and YouTube. And on Instagram and Facebook, you can find us at the Letdown Podcast. Catch you next time. This was The Letdown. Thank you for listening. This was The Letdown.